Oh, the bluffs and the driftless area. Wonderful. Well, greetings, everyone. Thank you so much for attending today. We're going to start recording now. And it's my pleasure to introduce our presentation this afternoon. My name is Kelly Kunkel, and I'm an extension educator in health and nutrition with the University of Minnesota Extension. And I'm part of a team with the Center for Family Development that's hosting webinars with a family focus, and including today, the series of webinars starting today on family-friendly earth care. And we hope that you can join in all of the 6 sessions and enjoy them. So our first thing we're going to do is a poll, and Diane is going to start our poll off. And the poll question is, are you participating in today's webinar for personal use, for professional use, or for both?
Sorry, I might have just ended the poll. I didn't realize. If you can reopen it.
There we go.
Thank you, Kelly. My apologies, everyone.
No worries, no worries. Right, we're at 39, 40. I think we're good. Diane, do you want to show us what the poll results are?
Nice. Excellent. It's great to hear that you'll be using this for personal and or professional use.
Excellent, thank you. And a sincere thanks to Diane Seefeld today, and she is our webinar producer, and she'll be sharing links throughout the time and starting some of our videos. So thank you, Diane. Well, at this point, it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker today, Kristen Mastel. She is a certified forest therapy guide and an outreach and instructional librarian at the University of Minnesota. And she'll talk today about forest bathing, what it is, along with the health and wellness benefits. And because this is a virtual session, Kristen has asked that we find a space at a local park or in your backyard or your favorite window ledge so that you can take part in this webinar. So please join me in a virtual round of applause for Kristen Mastel.
Oh, thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you, Diane. Again, thanks for being my tech wizard, so I can join you actually from outside. So welcome from Jensen Lake. This is in Eagan, Minnesota. It is one of our regional parks here in Minnesota. So I'm joining you. It was just snowing earlier, but looks like that maybe has stopped for the day. I lead forest bathing activities on campus. So that's where Kelly and Diane and I connected, of course. I'm also their librarian, and then I lead guides virtually for folks like you all across the US and across the pond. I know we have someone from London and beyond, but I also do in-person sessions in Minnesota. So if you're curious, you can always go to my website, sign up for my newsletter. I'll let you know when I have some future sessions. So of course, being out in nature is a great stress reliever. So Kelly or Diane, if you wouldn't mind navigating to the next slide. And we'll go to the next one. So I'm just kind of curious if you could rank your stress today. I'm kind of curious where we are as a group. We are going through a global pandemic together. But if you had to rank your stress where you are right now, from 1 being pretty low to 10 being high, where would you put that? You can kind of throw that in the chat. Sometimes we use the little dot feature, but just kind of curious where folks are. Oh, coming in hot and heavy everywhere from 2 to 8 and everywhere in between. I don't think anyone's absent of stress in their life right now. All right, thank you. Well, as I said before, we are going through a global pandemic together, and nature is a wonderful way that a lot of us have rediscovered or reconnected with during the pandemic as a way to be socially distanced, but also to kind of take care of ourselves. And one tool to do that, of course, is called forest bathing. And this is something that I was introduced to when I studied in Japan about 6 years ago, and became really interested, and then became a forest therapy guide over the past year and a half or so. Next slide, please. So forest bathing, I'll just give a little introduction, and I should have said in the beginning, the first 10 minutes or so will be a little overview, and then we'll get to our little activities or invitations. So again, you're welcome in a few minutes to join me if you want to venture outside. Just, of course, dress for the weather that you will be experiencing, and safety is, of course, a priority. But the nice thing is you don't have to venture to a park like I am now. You can do forest bathing from your window. You can do it from your backyard, from a little local park close to you, or just next to a tree. So don't think you have to escape and go far to do forest bathing. Next slide, please. So we're going to have a little video here, just kind of giving a little introduction.
Trees. We all know them, I've climbed them, they're great. But considering their effect on our health and well-being, I think we still underestimate the true value of trees. To start, trees remove tons of air pollutants and particles, including a whole bunch of bad gases that end in oxide. Trust me, no one wants a lung full of sulfur dioxide. In fact, communities with trees have lower rates of childhood asthma. Most people I know like to go outside, and trees help block harmful UV rays that can cause skin cancer. Plus, trees can lower the air temperature by 10 degrees and help us from overheating in the summer. Let's say you're feeling crabby or stressed out. A walk in the woods might be all the medicine you need. Forests have a natural calming effect which can actually lower your blood pressure and heart rate. Exposure to trees and green spaces also decreases depression, stress, and mental fatigue. Great news for adults. And when kids get to play in the woods, it's much the same. We're more relaxed and focused, which helps us do better in school and generally makes us more agreeable people. Even better news for adults. As John Muir once noted, in every walk with nature, one receives far more than he seeks. It's amazing that trees have such a profound effect on our well-being. I honestly can't imagine a world without them. This year, won't you plant a tree with me?
So I just think that's a lovely video from our Minnesota DNR around, the health benefits of trees. And so where did forest bathing begin? If you haven't experienced it before, in Japan is where this started back in the 80s. It was kind of a national study to look at, what are the health benefits? How can we decrease the stress of our workplace? And so there, the name is Shinrin-yoku, or the literal translation, forest bathing, which basically means we're trying to take in all of our senses of the forest. We're not gonna, sorry, there's no clawfoot tubs hidden here in the forest. We're not gonna be taking a bath or a snow bath as it would be today for me, but we're just gonna immerse ourselves in nature and its experience. So it's not it's different than, you know, say we're going to go for a hike or go for a walk. Those are kind of physical exercise. Instead, we're really just going to slow down, more almost like a meditation or a slow activity in nature to really hone those senses. So Kelly, if I could have the next slide, please. And in Japan is where kind of the forefront of a lot of the research has been. They've looked and studied, you know, what are the human health benefits that come from spending time in nature. So these are some of the direct ties of spending, you know, an hour or two in the forest, being one kind of with nature. We all probably have heard of the mycelium, kind of the underground network of how trees, you know, communicate and talk to one another, but they also have health benefits to us as well. So again, just being in nature, sitting in nature, there are phytosides that trees kind of basically breathe off. They give off these oils, and then as we sit in nature and bring them in, it helps our immune system, it decreases our blood pressure being in nature. There's negative ions, especially when you're in a forest or you're around moving water, which normally this is a lake here. So I could be around some water and get those negative ions as well, but I'll get them from the trees. So there's lots of different health benefits. A lot of us feel really comfortable in nature and have a positive effect, but I realize that nature isn't always it hasn't been a part of everyone's life growing up, so there can be a little hesitation. So always follow kind of your comfort level, and just know that I'll be kind of guiding you through some invitations here. And there's no right or wrong way to do forest bathing. You'll get out of it what you're supposed to get out of it. And, you know, say I give a little activity, but nature is calling you to do something else, or something else catches your eye or catches your interest. That is perfectly okay to explore and experience. Oh, and I forgot on this slide, actually, there's a great study by some University of Minnesota faculty that did a literature review on forest bathing health benefits and kind of gather that there. So I, of course, had to include a little U of M research as well. So next slide, please. Like I said, forest bathing invitations, there's no right or wrong way to do it. I will switch my camera around so you can see the wonderful beauty that is around me if you want to look at my screen. Otherwise, I'd encourage you to look out a window, or for these, you can venture out on your own. Again, just be safe, wear proper attire, pay attention to your surroundings. And these invitations are going to be really short. Normally, a forest bathing session might be a couple hours where we spend time in nature, but this is kind of like a little sampler, right? A little taster today. So I'm going to lead you on around 4 invitations or activities that'll be around, say, 5 minutes each-ish, just to give you a little expectations as to where you might want to sit or where you might want to go. So often in forest bathing, we'll walk, you know, maybe a mile over the course of a couple hours. So again, this isn't quite like hiking. It's about really honing in and observing kind of our world around us. And my wonderful facilitators here are going to put in a website in the chat called Window Swap. So if you are stuck in front of your computer today, you can open the window to maybe somewhere else in the world and look out their window if you don't have access to your own window. So that's kind of a fun little thing that you can do as a little break in your day, or if you just want to look outside and see somewhere random in the world. So our next invitation, or I should say our first invitation of the day, is going to be the pleasures of presence. And this one, when we're together in person, I kind of lead it a different way. But since this is a little sampler, we're going to do this activity a little bit more guided. So let me flip my camera. Oops. There we go. All right. Hopefully you can see there. So I'm going to lead you on this one. And again, you're welcome to look out a window. You're welcome to be outside. But for our first invitation, what are 5 things that you can see? You might look up. You might look down. Kind of looking all around you. What are 5 things you can see? And for our next sense, what are 4 things that you can touch? So you might venture around. If you're in your office, I encourage you to kind of pick things up. Feel their texture, their temperature. What do different things feel like? We often don't kind of think about what our everyday objects or natural objects feel like. So just explore for a minute. They might be smooth, they might be rough, they might be soft or squishy. They might leave marks when you hold them or touch them, like my snow here. So next, what are 3 things that you can hear? And if there's kiddos in the room, I forgot to ask because this is the family one. You could maybe cup your ears like an animal. So you could think of deer. Cup your ears like a deer and direct sound into your ear, or like a bunny rabbit. And when you shift your hand, how does that change your hearing? So again, we could think like we're one of our favorite animals, and how do they hear? How do they direct sound into their ears? But I might have you listen. What is the furthest? What can you hear in the distance? It might be really faint. And then bring your attention a little bit more in. What's in that middle area? What can you hear? Not really close, but kind of in that middle ground. And then what's close in? What's in your immediate proximity? What's real close to you that you can hear? Might even be your own breath. You could even take a big breath. We often don't listen for our own breath. You give a little sigh and hear your breath. Now let's pay attention to our sense of smell. What can we pick up through our nose? What scents are carried in on the wind? You might have just finished lunch. Might be crisp or cool if you're outside. And then our sense of smell and taste are connected. what's one thing you can taste? And especially if you're outside, I'd encourage you to open your mouth and take a big inhale inside. What does the air kind of taste like? We often don't think about that. But can you taste the air? So that was the pleasures of presence, a little bit adapted to be a little bit more guided for being online. So if you want to maybe open up the chat after each activity, I would welcome maybe a thought or two. You know, what's something you noticed? I noticed what? Feel free to put that in the chat. What's something you noticed? Calming. Shadows in the snow, someone remarks. Breathing slowed down. Sparkling of the snow. Nice. Yes. We did just get a fresh snow if you're looking at my camera in Minnesota. So our snow is pretty sparkly today. Different sounds when you cup your ears. Oh, someone was brave and tasted the snow. Make sure it's not yellow snow. Oh, someone saw a bald eagle in your downtown. Fantastic. A feather stuck on a branch vibrating. That's beautiful. Yeah, little things that we might, you know, if we're on a hike or a walk, we might just kind of cruise right past and not take in these sights and sounds. Yeah, keep those comments coming. Great observations. So we're going to do another invitation. So we can go to the next slide. And this is what's in motion. And this we can do a couple different ways, depending on if you're, of course, in an office, kind of more seated. If you're sitting, I might encourage you at least to kind of stand up, get a little bit of movement in you, and you might just slowly shift your weight kind of back and forth between your feet and just feel the weight difference. And you might look outside and just see, you know, what in the world is moving by while you're staying pretty still. And then, of course, if you are outside, or you could even venture around your house a little and just walk really slowly and notice what's in motion around you. So this one, I'm going to mute myself for a few minutes. I'll walk slowly. You're welcome to kind of look at my screen, but sometimes that makes people a little dizzy. So you don't have to. We can keep that prompt up, but I'll give you a few moments to just play with what's in motion. All right, we can come back together. What is in motion? Thanks for taking a short jaunt with me. I'm kind of curious, how was that? Really slowing down, paying attention to what's in motion when we're mostly kind of still. So again, you might put a little prompt around, what did you notice around motion? Motion is what? Great. Snow sliding off buildings. It's refreshing. Noticing a flag. Motion is energy, snowflakes. Motion is soothing. Some folks noticing Mississippi River flowing around and the ice. Noticing large motion and small motion. Houseplants have been growing. Being outdoors in nature and slowing down. Noticing it's relaxing and refueling. Yeah, these are wonderful observations, everyone. Thank you for participating. All right, how about our next invitation? Again, since this is extension for family development, I thought I'd throw kind of a little twist on family here, right? Nature, we are one with nature. And definitely my apologies for not doing a land acknowledgement in the beginning, but the native peoples that have the Dakota that have long inhabited this land definitely have a strong connection with the land in this place. And so we can use this time to notice our connection with the land and kind of the ecosystem, the place, the families that exist in this land. So we might think of our backyard, our neighborhood as a family, and kind of notice, what does this neighborhood look like? Notice how things are, working together, kind of living together. So I'll just give you a few minutes to just kind of observe how things are working with one another, what family groups you might see in nature. So what is family in nature? Again, I'll give you a few moments to just kind of observe, and then we'll come back together. All right, when you're ready, we'll come back together. And what is family? My family is what? Love to hear some thoughts in chat. Feel like sharing a few thoughts around family. You have different trees, birds going after different feeders, wildlife and trees. Yeah, earth, air, fire, and water. Noticing chickadees and gray squirrels in the trees, our dog and other animals, the importance of plants to us. Excellent. Thank you all. We can go to the next slide here. And for this one, I'm going to have you select a being to spend some time with. It's not very often we might, kind of intimately spend time with another being, whether it could be your dog, could be a house plant, or it could be a tree that you just maybe lean. You could even give it a hug, but just spend, we might not spend a full 5 minutes, a couple of minutes, just gazing at that object, looking at that object. If it's in person, you could, lean against it, give it a hug. So we're just going to spend a few minutes being with a being. All right, I think we're gonna kind of wrap things up. So with that exercise, what's something that you noticed about yourself or the being that you chose to spend some time with. You can put that in the chat. All right. I chose these 2 trees to lean against. It was quite lovely and very supportive. And we'll go to the next slide. We're going to kind of wrap things up here as our time comes to a close. If I could assign homework, this might be it. And that's to find a sit spot or choko, as we say in forest bathing. And that would be a location convenient to you, or you might visit it, every week and notice how the seasons change. So it could be in your backyard, it could be a local park or favorite place, could be out your window, but just somewhere that you can visit and rest and just kind of observe for a little bit of time. Next slide. And in the chat, I'd encourage you to maybe write how you could add a little dose of nature to your everyday. So if you have some ideas of how you might incorporate nature, you can put them in the chat. And on the next slide, I have a few ideas here for you, from adding a screensaver of a forest to your sit spot, to nature journaling, to a little cloud meditation. I might actually make a little snow angel and look at the clouds here when we're done. All right, so that kind of wraps up our time. If you're local, there is a registered forest bathing trail. There's a few around the US and a lot in other places around the world. So Silverwood Park in the Twin Cities is a registered trail that you can visit. And next slide. If you want some more nature inspiration, if you liked that, I have a little ebook on my website that you can sign up for and get that along with some other future activities. So that's in the chat. And then I'll turn it over to my wonderful extension colleagues to kind of wrap things up. But if you have questions, pop them in the chat. I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, thank you so much, Kristen. That was so relaxing. And Diana's been putting the links into the chat as we go. Please type in your questions at this time into the chat. And as you're doing so, I've just got a few more slides to share with you. If you want a certificate, we can certainly get that for you. When you complete the evaluation that Diane will be putting in the chat, that's one of the questions, so we can get that to you. So please take just a few moments to fill out the evaluation that's in the chat box. We have a lot of upcoming webinars that we would love to have you participate. One is on a series of talks in Spanish, 5 more in the family-friendly earthquake care series, and there's Finding Balance, Making Sense of It All, No Place Like Home, Recovery and Health. And then there are some standalone webinars as well. So please search for those links. And we also encourage you to engage with us in a variety of different ways using social media.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for taking some time to relax with me. Hopefully you found it relaxing. It sounded like a lot did. Again, this was just a sampler. So again, join me in person or online again if you're interested. A couple questions asked, specifically about like fog bathing or working with those with Alzheimer's. I would love to continue the conversation. So you can go to my website, or my email is meye0539@umn.edu. If you want to shoot me an email at work, I'd be happy to send you some resources or continue the conversation. So thanks, everyone. Someone did ask about the slide design. The flowery part is from Slide Carnival. There's a botanical slides there. That's where I got that.
Thank you so much.
Sure.
Oh, positive energy. Can you share your email in the chat?
Yeah. happy to. Try to unfrost my fingers here. Give me just a minute. Oh, good, it remembered it. So, oh, all right, should be on your way.
It is. Thank you.
meye0539@umn.edu is my email. So look forward to hearing from y'all soon. And enjoy your snowy or sunny filled day.